It's hard. Oh, go ahead.
And then Mauricio Brown.
Well, yeah, that happened, as we were driving home, as we were driving away, you can't go into a courtroom and plead a spiritual case. You can't go into a courtroom and say, well, Your Honor, I'm going to plead karma on this one, and this is why this chain of events happened. This is why I ended up going the same direction that these people were going. You can't go in there and plead that, but coincidences, we all go through coincidence in life, and we happen to be going the same direction that these people were going. A part of this that a lot of people don't understand, and I don't like to throw mud on anybody. I don't like to point fingers. We all have to take responsibility for certain things, but what a lot of people don't understand about the case is that when Mary Patrick stopped our vehicle, a lot of people don't know why she stopped our vehicle. See, the prosecution wanted to play it like, well, you stopped this car because you were following a pattern, but that's not true. We had evidence to show otherwise, but they wouldn't allow it in the courtroom. During this time, Mary Patrick was going through a bitter custody battle, and if anybody checks her record, they'll see that she had a record, a pretty long record, probably longer than some of my record that I had. I didn't have a long record, but hers was longer than mine for a lot of domestic, disputes, domestic disturbance, and she was paranoid. She thought that maybe her husband was following her or something like this, and she stopped our vehicle. And she stopped us, and we got into a conversation. And she, well, why are you following us? I said, well, we're not. And she said, well, you had your bright lights on. And I said, well, hey, sorry about that, And so I think it was probably Mauricio had made a comment about her, how she looked, and no disrespect to Miss Patrick, but she was a dancer, so she was a beautiful young lady. And Mauricio, a lot of people don't know about him, but he was kind of old Romeo type of guy. The type of guy, we'll be at the gas station and he'll get out, hey, let me pump your gas for you, fly, one of these pretty boy type individuals. And so when she tells Brown, well, hey, take a picture, it'll last longer. We're ready to get out of here. She's feisty, she's talking mess, we're ready to go. So I'm getting ready to get on the gas and go. And this is when Brown exit the car. We were intoxicated. We had been drinking and smoking and things like this here, so we weren't paying attention to Brown's actions. We weren't paying attention to his actions because he didn't give us any understanding to what his intentions were. When he left the car on his own. We didn't know what he was going up there to do. When I made my statement to the police, I told them I don't know what was happening. I don't know if he was getting out to flirt with the girl. I don't know if he was just getting out there to just go talk mess and just kind of be a hot shot. I said there was no understanding. And when this man exited the car and went up there, we were 80 feet away. And we were kind of all out of it. The car was still running, had the music going, and we were just kind of out of it. So when he entered into that situation, on his own. And I've always told this to people. I said we have to use common sense. We really do, because people will try to take a situation and they'll try to use it the way that they want to use it. Right. But they don't want to use the entire facts. So I tell them like this. If this was a plan, if this was a conspiracy, why did Brown go up there by himself? Why would one man go and face off against two people? Why? What sense does that make? If we had set a pattern of two people robbing persons, one person doing one thing, one person having his back, why all of a sudden would that change? Why would everybody just be sitting in the car, just oblivious? Why wouldn't somebody be watching them? Why wouldn't somebody be up there with them? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And the sense to it is there was no conspiracy. Now, whatever Brown did up there, I guess only him, LaHood, and Patrick know, because none of us know. And the only thing that I know of that night is what he pled in court. And he said that he acted in self-defense. This is what he said. But none of us know, and we're being held accountable for that, but it's just like my attorney said. They said, by law, if this man, even if he did try to attempt, even if he did, let's say worst to worst, this is what my attorneys told me, worst to worst, let's say he did. He said, if you did not agree, if you did not conspire, if you were not in knowledge of what he was doing, you are not responsible for that. Those were his actions. No matter what happened earlier in the night, those are different crimes. The state needs to take that up on its own terms. He said, but you're not responsible for that, no matter what the state tries to say, and the law is on your side, because it says that you must knowingly enter into a conspiracy, and you have not, and the evidence shows that you have not. Brown testified to that. He said, I did this on my own. Nobody encouraged me. Dwayne Dillard testified 2001 in the habeas hearing. There was no plan. Julius Steen has come forward. There was no plan. That's undisputable evidence. That's all on court document. They don't want to accept that. They don't want to embrace it, you know.
Texas Court of Criminal Appeals denied your case. Now
Yes.
it's on to the Board of Parole and Pardons. And when you heard that, what went through your mind?
Well,
I mean, there's different steps in this process. And
yeah,
so that's almost the last step.
It's almost the last step. I had a 5-3 ruling. I had one judge sit out. Judge Harvey sat out because I believe she was working in Bexar County at the time. But I had 3 brave judges, and it takes a lot of courage to get out there and say, we acknowledge this man's innocence. I had 3 judges. I had Johnson, Holcomb, and Price. Price wrote the opinion. And Price said, I believe we have enough here to acknowledge this man's innocence. The evidence is there, but being that this court doesn't want to recognize it, I dissent. It was bittersweet because anytime you get judges acknowledging you, it kind of gives you a sense of contentment, even under the circumstances, because it's like, these are all judges. They're all qualified. They're all experienced. So can they all be wrong and can they all be right? You know, so it wasn't a unanimous decision. Now, if it was unanimous, I think that would have sent off some type of alarm. But when you had 3 saying, well, we acknowledge that your innocence does exist, I mean, it still gave me pieces of hope, you know, and hopefully we're going to be able to do something with that, and we're going to try. We're going to try to do something with that. But, I mean, it was hurtful, you know. I mean, people were out there working pretty strong. They had it in there for about 2 months. Because we filed it at the end of June, and I've seen the CCA get a subsequent written denied in 2 days. I've seen it happen with guys back here. So we were positive about it. We felt that they were going to do the right thing because they had an out. They had an out. What I mean by that is this. The bottom line is that the courts don't like to acknowledge issues that are going to make a ripple in the pond. They don't like to acknowledge innocence, and I've had an innocence claim since the beginning. They don't want to change 7.02b. Because if they change 7.02b, they're acknowledging that they had a crooked statute, and then it could open up floodgates to a lot of other cases. So they don't want to do either one of those, which have been 2 of my main issues. So the issue that we gave them was out for them. We said, would a jury make a different decision hearing this evidence of Julius Steen? You've never heard Steen's evidence. You based your original decision on Steen saying, this is what Steen thought. Foster probably should have known it, even though that's not law. I can't assume what somebody else knows. I have to know from a conspiracy, not, well, he knew it, so you should know it. We're not telepathic here, you know, but that's what they based it on. So we felt that they had an out to give relief, and they didn't do it. And so it was hard, you know, and going into the Board of Pardons and Paroles, well, that's even harder too. But I will say this about Board of Pardons and Parole. They have actually given good decisions before. They gave a really good decision in a man's case by the name of Joe Lee Guy. And he got, they recommended life for him. I guess this happened about 2 years ago. And he had a law of parties case. Very similar to mine. It's not exactly the same. Some of the facts are a little bit different. But they recommended unanimously that he should get a life sentence. But they never made it to Perry. You know, and we feel like, you know, Perry, you know, I mean, you know, it's time to make history. It's time to do something other than, you know, be known as the killing machine. And you've got a good opportunity. You've got a great opportunity with this case. I mean, you have a great opportunity to show, hey, I'm fair. I can do the right thing. And, you know, I mean, I'm going to have some faith that that's going to happen.
I'm Governor Perry right now. What do you say to me?
Do the right thing. You know, you're a history maker. You know, you've actually surpassed Bush in signing off on death warrants, but we don't want Texas to be known as this. I mean, Texas is known as a killing machine. You're looking at a man who hasn't killed anybody. You know this for a fact. You can't debate it. You can't argue it. You know it. You know, so do the right thing. Let's show people that we can give men an opportunity to get redemption, to get atonement, to get change. And you have to look at each man on a different basis. You have to look at Kenneth Foster for who Kenneth Foster is. You can't look at me for what this man and this man and this man did, because I know the stigmas placed on men on death row. You know, I know the stereotypes. And I've stood strong with fighting them. Say, I don't want to be in this box. I don't want to be that guy that you say that I am. Sure, I know the mistakes I've made in the past. We all have. Enron executives have made mistakes. Scooter Livy has made mistakes. And where are they at today? You know, so I mean, give me the opportunity. And I've taken that serious. I've worked daily to show. Give me the opportunity to correct my mistakes. You know, they talk about prison all the time, how violent and negative it is. And a lot of that is really inbred, but that's a whole other story. But who's going to take these youngsters and pull them up and say, you know what, man, I did that 10 years ago, and this is where it's going. You got a chance to get out. I'm probably never going to get out, but listen to my words. Take these to the heart. Get on the right path. Go to school. Get your GED. Get you a trade out here so when you get out there, you can have something to do. Who's going to do that? If they can, you know, there's guys right out here with cases worse than mine, killers, walking around right out here. They're walking around, and they've got me back here on the death sentence for driving a car. So what I'm saying is that you got to give individuals a chance to get out here and reach these youngsters, but who are you going to let do it? And I would tell Perry, let me do that. Let me give you some service. Let me do something for you. Let me do some social betterment. Because they need somebody to talk to them, you know.